welcome to this episode. Today, we're talking about AI in your balloon business. And I feel like we could have an episode about this every month and it would change drastically because the technology is changing so quickly. But today, I am chatting with my friend Lenore from Lights, Camera, Selfies, and she has a balloon and photo booth business, but has really started taking on AI, not only in her business, but also helping us learn as fellow balloon decorators. So, we are chatting about what is not only new in AI, but how to practically use and implement AI to help offload some of those tasks that you might hate in your business or simple things to simply make your life easier, like a morning to-do list that is waiting for you in your inbox. So I loved chatting and catching up with Lenore. I think you're going to as well. And she is now offering these services to help train and empower other balloon business owners to utilize AI to make their lives easier. So let's take a quick break and then get into this episode with Lenore from Lights, Camera, Selfies. Quick pause because if you're running a small business and you feel like your brain is holding open 1,000 tiny tabs, this is for you. One of the biggest shifts that I've made in my business and that I've seen successful decorators make over and over is moving from doing everything manually to having a real system behind the scenes. That's why 17 Hats is our exclusive YouTube sponsor for 2026. 17 Hats puts your inquiries, contracts, invoices, questionnaires, emails, and workflows all in one place so you're not chasing clients, forgetting follow-ups, or reinventing the wheel every single time someone books. Instead of asking, did I send that and what comes next, your business just works. The best part, it doesn't make your business feel more robotic. It actually frees you up to do things that you are meant to do, like be creative, work with clients, spend time with your family, and all with less stress. If you're ready to stop duct taping systems together and start operating like a real business, head to 17hats.com to check it out. Once you have a system, everything else gets easier. All right, let's jump back in. All right, welcome to this episode. Lenore, it's good to catch up with you again. We have been longtime friends, balloon buddies, and you are kind of niching down into a field that I think obviously is going to continue to grow, and that is AI. And you're going to teach us a little bit about how to use it in our balloon business. But before we jump in, give us an introduction. Where are you located? And tell us a bit about your business.
So I'm in Hollywood, Florida, which is just above Miami. So South Florida. My business, I've been doing balloons and photo booths since 2017. And it's just expanded into different things. We moved into the little picnics when picnics outside and on the
Oh,
beach
yeah.
were very popular. But it always seems to come back to the balloons and the photo booths. That's
Yes.
been our main bread and butter. And I enjoy it. I love the creativity and being able to spend time just coming up with new ideas.
Well, and you've always been very business savvy and also invested a lot. Like you've been to a lot of events, you're in masterminds, you're in programs. Like I've always just seen you investing in your education on the business side, and I think you run a really smart business. And one of the ways that I think our businesses are changing really quickly or will continue to change is AI. Like it's everywhere, and I think I use it, but not very well. And sometimes I'm just like, is this even worth it? Is this weird? But you're using AI in your business regularly now. And that's what we're chatting about today. So I'm excited. So how did you first incorporate AI into your balloon business? And like what sparked it? Were you just like, I better do this or I'm gonna get left behind? Or like what was the reason that you started really digging into using AI?
A lot of that. I'm in between 3 universities, and I keep seeing where they're promoting the AI and all these different courses, and so I was like, "I gotta learn more," because I do believe if you don't get on the bandwagon, you're just gonna be so far behind. I
Yes.
also think if you can get on and get working with it, you'll be ahead of the game. And even now, the way Instagram and Facebook and even Google and stuff is searching, it's using AI instead of just doing the hashtags. In fact, now they're saying the hashtags aren't even valuable.
Mm.
So that's been a lot. And then I also started with simple things. I wanted somebody to answer my phone when I wasn't in the office.
Yeah.
And so that's how I really got going in it because I tried all these different programs. I ended up not liking them. I didn't think it
Okay.
sounded like me. I just all these things, I just felt like it was very robotic, and I just didn't care for that. So
Yeah.
I deleted that part.
Yeah. Well, I think that's smart too. I mean, like you try them out, but at the end of the day, we're still the people to be like, this feels weird, or like this doesn't feel natural, or this is confusing my customers more than just getting a voicemail. Like we can't be so far ahead of the game that like it's not working. But this doesn't sound like you're just using Chat GPT. You're experimenting with all different kinds of software.
I do. I've been using HeyGen, which is really good with coming up with videos and clones and voice and audio.
Okay.
I've been using a program called Alan AI, which goes in and it evaluates other people's Instagram and Facebook, and then it tells you more data. It's very data driven on
Okay.
who had the most leads, who had the most views. You can even have it analyze it to where, do they have a pain point in there? Do they have a positive message or is it storytelling? And that's been really interesting because you can go in and look and see what is working for other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's really, what was that one called? Because I want to do that on my own.
it's called Alan AI.
Okay. Alan AI. Very cool.
So and I will say the learning curve on that one was probably the hardest one for me out of
Okay.
all of them. So,
Okay.
if you're gonna it's not one you can take on for a weekend and be willing to go. It takes
Okay.
on a lot.
Okay. And so was your first like you kinda said, it's everywhere and you gotta get on board or get left behind. I feel like it's kind of the early days of email when people were like, "Why would I ever need to email someone?" And it's like, well, now if
Right.
you're not like, that was kind of the beginning of the internet, and now it's like, well, I wish I'd learned that back then, grandma. But, is that like, again, you just wanted to learn for the sake of learning, or were you like, there are things in my business I need to offload, and I think this can help?
At first, I just wanted to learn.
Okay.
And then I started seeing how some of my friends were utilizing it in their business. I have a friend that owns a small law firm,
Okay.
and I saw how he was using it, and I'm like, "Wait, I could do that." I mean, I'm not talking injury, but I'm talking balloons.
Yeah.
And so then I really started diving into it. I mean, I have someone that assists me with inflation and pick up and tear down, but other than that, I'm a one person show.
Yeah.
So I just needed help on getting back to the creative side. I just feel like now it's too much work for me to do the invoicing, the emails, all of that. When I just want to play with the balloons and have
Yeah.
fun. I want to do the photo booth at the parties and chit chat with everybody and the balloons on, putting them up and coming up with the latest and greatest or new things for my clients. And
Yeah.
that's where I felt like I was hurting because I wasn't spending the time doing that.
Okay, cool. I love that because I love anything that can take anything off my plate. Um, so in what ways can we come up with some specific ways that AI has helped reduce repetitive tasks for you, or how it can for balloon artists? Because I feel like there are those things that we do over and over, and you're just like, I hate this, but it's part of the job. Or like every time I have to do this, I dread it. Like for me, it's ordering. I freaking hate ordering, and I don't know why. It's not that big of a deal, but I just wait till the last minute and then I hope and pray everything gets here on time. But like, what other repetitive tasks can it kind of offload for us?
Well, the first thing, speaking of ordering, this is one that I do focus on, not so much the pre-ordering, but actually detailing out for me. Every time I get in an order, I use Having a Party quite a bit. They send you a receipt.
Yeah.
I automatically, as soon as that appears in my email, the next morning, my chat GBT knows to look at it and analyzes it and puts it in an Excel spreadsheet for me. So by time I'm up and into work, I know this balloon cost me 3 cents, 8 cents.
Interesting. So it's building
Yes.
your inventory digitally, like it's keeping track of
Yes.
what you've ordered and the expense of it.
And the
Oh,
expense of it.
interesting.
And then I have certain products that I sell over and over, and I have those preset in Excel spreadsheet,
Okay.
and it goes in and it will change automatically what it is, like my profit level is and what my hard cost on that, especially with the helium. I started it because of helium being so high, and
Okay.
I felt like I wasn't making money when I was doing helium jobs.
Yes. Same.
So so that's how it all started, and then once I did the helium, I mean, everything comes in. My overhead's there. Even if I use a ribbon, putting the amount of high float. I've estimated, I've used all the charts. You can pull all the charts from the
Yeah.
websites into chat. And as long as you tell it the website, it will look for it itself. So,
Okay.
I gave it the high flow website and it went in and got the charts and all of
Oh
that.
my gosh. So, okay, rewind. Because I feel like my chat GPT is a dumb flunky and it went to a different school than yours. Because anytime I ask mine to do anything, it's like, I'll make that a Google sheet. And then it just like doesn't. And then I'm like, where's the Google sheet? It's like, I'm so sorry. I'm unable to do that. And I'm just like, why? Why are you lying to me? I've had the worst
No.
luck with my chat GPT. So I can't get it to like do things. It can tell me things or tell me how to do things, but how are you getting your chat into your email to like even read stuff? Like how do you connect the two?
It's all by prompts, and as long
Okay.
as you know how to write the prompts, you can instruct it to do anything. In addition, you can create prompts that are your repetitive things. There's certain things it goes in and it looks for every single day for me. And then I use Excel, so I'm not sure I have it attached to my Microsoft, and so it knows I like Excel, so it puts it in Excel.
Okay.
I'm sure because it's normally based, it wants your Gmail. So I'm sure you can attach it and you have to go in and just connect the two programs together. So I'm
And
sure
how are
you
you
can
doing
go
that? Are you doing that in like settings? Like are you giving it your password into Gmail or like that's all in the conversation, the prompting too?
I've given it my password to certain things.
Okay.
My Canva, my email, and a couple of my other programs. Like I'm connected with the Hey Gen back and forth, also with
Yeah.
the Allen AI, to where once I put in the prompt, it already knows my password and it goes through and does that.
Okay. Okay. So
So,
I love some of these like actual ways you're using it. The helium blew my mind because yeah, I'm always kind of like guessing. I'm like girl mathing hard on
right.
helium. I'm like, well, if the tank was $500, this order was more than $500, so I'm good. Like I
You're
just,
right.
I'm still kind of guessing, but if you ask me like what does an actual 11-inch balloon cost you right now? I couldn't tell you. Like I couldn't tell you. And it's building that all out for you, which I think is amazing. You mentioned kind of bringing in your inventory and keeping track of what things cost. What other things is it doing in the background for you?
So the other thing, unfortunately, 17 Hats isn't an app where you can attach it.
Yeah.
So I created a workaround.
Okay.
And so, like for me, any invoices that are more than 60 days past due, and I do a lot of corporate, so I
Yeah.
let them pay on the 30-day time frame. But if it goes over that, when the reminders go out via email, now comes into my list and it alerts me, XYZ is 91 days past due at different
Gotcha.
things. So it definitely helps. You can create workarounds by tying it to your email.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, 7 so you are a 17 hats user.
Yes.
So am I. And yeah, it doesn't connect to a lot of things. So I like that workaround of like if it sends you an email, then you can get the email as your trigger for something else. That's a good tip. I love
Yes.
this. Um but I'm also overwhelmed by it. And I wouldn't say I'm skeptical, but I think a lot of people still are. They're like, "Oh, I could tell when it's AI and it's going to replace our jobs." And what would your advice be to those balloon artists that are really like on the other side of like, they're just like anti AI? Like, my advice is get on board or get left behind, kind of like we talked about earlier, but you're a little bit friendlier than I am. What advice would you give them to kind of show them the light at the end of the tunnel if they're feeling resistant?
I think they need to just start with one thing.
Mm,
Just focus on one thing. For me now, I have props in my chat GPT. So when I go to write a post for Instagram, I can just put in my picture and I have everything in there. I want keywords, I want a CTA, I want all these things. I don't retype any of that. And
yeah.
I just click it to this prompt and then it gives me everything. It gives me hooks. It gives me the call to action. It does all of that, but I'm picky.
Mm,
So I told it, when you write this, I don't want just one. I want you to give me four so I can pick and choose which one I want to use. And
gotcha.
so they write them all. My overall, my 17 hats, one of the things I do track is where people hear from me.
Hmm.
And last year, my van was number one. I have a wrapped van. So a
Wow.
lot of people tell me, "Oh, I saw your van." But now I'm tracking where ChatGPT is one of my highest levels, and
Oh, okay, of how
because
people are finding you.
of finding me, because
Wow,
they're
okay.
going in and they're using it like Google, and I'm now tying all my keywords together on what I'm selling, even my reviews. If you look at a review I've gotten in, like, the last 4 months, I respond back to it, and instead of just saying, "Hey, thanks, I'm so glad you were happy," which is what I used to say,
Yeah, that's what I
now
say.
it's like I repeat what I did for them. "I'm so glad you liked having that balloon column with swirls and mylar."
Oh, look at you, that's
So
so smart.
yes, so the chat and everybody will pick up the keywords, but I'm not really writing it. It's pre-written. I do read everything because a lot of times there'll be like little mistakes,
Yeah,
and now my chat is starting to learn balloon. And
yeah.
so I've spent a lot of time teaching it balloon. So,
That's interesting. It's like having chat write the response so that chat can find it later. It's like, how would you respond to this so that you think it's more searchable for later on when you see these reviews? I think that's really, really smart. It's very cool. Are there
yes.
any things that you would recommend staying away from? Like anything AI related that you're like, don't do that. That's not good.
Well, I don't like when I'm in AI for and I don't even know what it's called, but the double whammy. So somebody's going to come in and buy a balloon column from me.
Yeah.
Now on my 17 hats, I always at the bottom give a suggestion like, would you like a photo booth too?
Yeah.
Or would you like a centerpiece to go with that? Well, a lot of times now with AI, say you buy 3 things, they hit you up to buy even more. And for me, I don't like that. I don't
Yeah.
want it to be an automatic, okay, you just spent $300 or $800. Now I'm going to get you to $2,000.
Yeah.
And the pressure point, if you look at some of these or you listen to them, the pressure from AI, and I know there's not a person on the other side, but even for me, sometimes I'm like, no, 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 I can't do that. And I'm thinking, I'm talking to a computer,
Yeah.
but I'm already being kind, like, no, nope, I can't do that. So I don't like it when people set it up to like push the additional
Push.
sales.
That was actually one of my favorite tips. We had, Emily from Utah Balloon Creations. She was on earlier this year talking about AI, and one of her tips too was, like, when you're using AI, like, get the thing you want and then get out of there because it will always prompt you, like, "Now do you want me to make it into a Google Doc? Now do you want me to run a report? Now" and it's like you can just get caught in this never-ending, rabbit hole of stuff that you don't even really need it to do. So it's like resisting the urge to have those constant follow-ups. I agree. I think it's exhausting.
Yeah. So the only time I really let it go crazy on me on following up like that is when I'm working on my personalities. So
Mm,
I have my balloon personality, I have my photo booth personality, and I
okay.
let it keep asking me questions. And then at the end, I tell it what I like and I tell it to memorize that and remember that.
Gotcha.
And
So
then
it's like learning your tone.
my tone, what I think about balloons, definitely I did this a lot with the whole environment. I'm in Florida, so right now they're doing all these anti-balloons. You can't be within 3 miles of the beach. You can't this and that. And I was requested to speak at the commission meeting and I had chat help me a lot. And I
Yeah.
spent a lot of time with that, letting me ask. I even said, please look at these commissioners and look at the last 4 meetings and come up with the questions you think they're going to ask me. And it was able, they didn't
Mm,
get it exact, but it was close. The chat was able to predict from, so I had the commissioner meetings looked at by chat. And then I asked chat, I gave it a prompt to see if they could determine what questions the commissioners may ask me
okay.
about the balloons and the environment. And it wasn't 100%, but it was about 65% spot on what they were asking.
Wow, that's awesome. That's cool. Um, what about photos? What about pictures and like AI in terms of generating photos of balloons, using those for mock-ups, using those actually on like social media? AI flyers. I think visuals as someone who kind of is more like a visual artist, like where do you land on that? And I don't think there's a right answer. I'm just curious how people are using AI photos and to what degree.
So I do not use AI to do any of my photos for my proposals or anything like that. I use all either my pictures or if I've bought some stock photos for different things. But
Mhm.
I don't like it when every balloon is exactly a 3-inch circle.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like you can look at it. And if you look at some of the spiral columns and you count the balloons, there's like 9 balloons in that spiral.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't make it with 9 balloons. So I don't use it for that at all. Now I will go in and ask it to lighten up or add shadows in the background. Um, if you happen to be on my website, Pride was last month. I went in and I had it make graphics for a restaurant where I went in and took a picture of the restaurant and then it imposed my balloons on there, but it cleaned it up. It wasn't just like I do in Canva where I put the balloon items on the table.
Yeah.
It cleaned it all up and I really think it looked totally real.
Yeah.
But it was my balloons but you have to prompt it not to change my balloons because if one of my balloons is bigger than the other, chat will try to make them perfect. And so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to, in your prompt, put, "Do not change any of the balloon sizing, dimensions or anything
Yeah.
like that."
Yeah, I've kinda gone back and forth. I've used it for some proposals. I always say, like, this is a bad AI version of what I'm thinking, but sometimes just to get it out of my brain. But even, like,
Uh-huh.
AI photos of balloons are kinda, like, all starting to look the same. Like, they they kinda do the same thing. Like, I used them for this big job that I had, this balloon adventure, just to kinda get what I was thinking out of my head and all the artists on the same page. But now I can see other people's proposals, and they weirdly look very similar. Um, but so sometimes I use it. I just did it this last weekend though, and it kind of backfired because it was like very hard to make it look like it, you know? And I think I'm a
Mhm.
pretty good balloon decorator, but it's like it was when I went back and looked, I was like, wait, these all need to be like 24-inch balloons to get this scale. But like, you don't see that when you first throw the photo out there. One of the
Right.
things that I think it's really good at though is changing the colors. Like I have clients where it's like you show them a red and white arch and they're like, "Can you make a mock-up of it in red and yellow?" And you're just like, "No, just like picture it, you know?" But now I feel like it is good at changing the colors of balloons and giving mock-ups kind of in their colors, but I always clarify that it is an AI image and I kind of poo-poo it. I'm like, "Oh, this is like a weird AI image, so just excuse any weirdness." But sometimes it does help kind of just speed up the vision process. Um, but yeah, in terms of actually using it to like manipulate the photos or like I've seen people just post on Instagram as a post, like a balloon arch that's clearly AI. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Like that's the thing you do. You're taking away your own skill. I don't know. I'm kind of
I
wishy-washy
agree with
about
you.
it.
I agree with you on that. One of the new things that I've added to my proposals is I make a vision board after I've come up with 4 or 5 different designs for someone, mostly my corporate clients.
Yeah.
But then I will go in and I will tell chat to make a vision board for me and add the colors we're using. I will do like the room theme. I'll take a picture of the room if it's at a large hotel. And it makes these cool little vision boards, but it still
Mm,
uses my balloon pictures. And I just put that in as like page 2 now
yeah.
before so they get an overall feel of where I'm going with it.
But
And
not like an exact this is what you're getting.
correct.
Oh, I
Right.
like that. That's good.
Kind
Oh,
of
you
like what
reminded me of
the
one more thing that I've done one tip that I have is, it's also really good at, like, when you pull a photo off of, like, a hotel off, their website or something, I've had it be like, "Okay, clear all the tables and chairs out of this room," so that
yes.
I have a blank page to then do a mock-up on, and then I add in my balloons, but it can magically do that, you know? It takes all of the chairs out, or it resets a ballroom with, like, rounds instead of conference style, and then it, like, gives you a really clean background, and I've had people, like, very impressed by that. They're like, "Where did you get this photo?" So they're not even looking at the balloons. They're just, like, excited about the whole layout because they can kinda see the vision.
Right. Another huge one is the measurements of the room. So if
Oh, I just did this. Yes.
you forget your tape measure, you could go in and if you have a solo cup or the other day I had a Dunkin' Donuts cup, I sat on the floor and took the pictures, but I made sure the cup was in there and I told chat to go in and determine the size of this cup and then give me the measurements of the room.
That's
So
amazing.
it's just kind of cool on that too, because
I
I
just
forgot
did
my
the
tape measure.
same yeah, I did the same exact thing. I took some photos, and I was able to be like, based on the size of this brick how big do you think this porch is? Like, what are the dimensions? And then when I got back and actually set up, it was almost exactly right. It was like, I think that looks like a mid-century modern size brick, and typically the dimensions are blah blah blah. And it was so close based I was guessing like, "Oh, I think it's like 10 feet," and it was like 8. Or like, "Oh, I think it's 12 feet," and it was like 7. Like, I was so far off in my brain, and it saved me from overinflating, like, a lot of balloons that I wouldn't have needed. So, yeah, the
Right.
measurements, that is such a good tip.
It's nice.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
very
absolutely.
nice.
Um,
So,
is there anything else kinda circling back to the beginning? You said you kind of you really just wanna do the creative stuff at this point, and you're still mostly a one-woman show. Is there anything that you used to dread that it now does for you?
my to-do list. It completely does my to-do list every day. It's called a daily
Huh,
briefing for me.
I love that.
And yes, it goes in, it pulls anything from my email, like it will determine like if I need to, if somebody's asking me to give them this or that. It also looks at my calendar. Dashboards. I don't know how many you have, but I have way too many dashboards. It seems like every app I'm in wants me to look at a dashboard. This confines or puts everything into one,
Yeah.
and it gives me a daily briefing, and I have it sent automatically to my email every day at 6:15. When I open it up, I just go through it and I start working on things, and then I talk back to chat. I name mine. And I'm just like, "Hey, Nori, I finished XYZ today." And the next day it's not on my list. It's gone.
Okay.
And I'll go through and I can even have it to where, next Thursday, July 8th, I need to do these 3 things on this day. It will
Yeah.
save it until that day, and it's just
Interesting.
been wonderful. In addition, which I just learned this, I've been stalking you, no, I actually have my chat go in, and every week, because I get an email from you saying the podcast is gonna be happening, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
it goes in and it's I guess now because you have them up, it will analyze and give me like a 20-word summary of what the podcast so I can
Oh,
look and see,
wow.
I need to see this today or I need to listen today or okay, I can put that on, while I'm driving or different things.
Yeah.
And I have it do industry news, all about balloons and photo booths. So I get this little summary if something big happens. Or not
Oh,
even
wow.
big.
That's really cool. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to you before we started recording, and like overnight it was like AI came into the podcast world. Like podcasting was like not like you could barely even search for a podcast in a podcast app. Like it was just kind of like the Wild West. And then all of a sudden everything audio was transcribed, which meant it was all searchable. And now there's, AI in the audio. So like no matter how bad our microphones are, like it cleans it all up. Like it just kind of swept in and really took hold. So I think that that's not unique to podcasting. I think that's gonna be a lot of areas where like, oh, we never even knew how AI could help, and then overnight, it made everything so
Right.
much better. Like, you think email, it's like, "Oh, how could email get better or easier?" And maybe overnight, they're gonna implement something where it's like, "Oh, now it's completely different, and it was never like this before," but
Mhm.
it's I don't know. I just feel like we don't know the ways that it's even going to evolve. But going way back
Right.
to what you said at the beginning, it's gonna be really hard to catch up if you're not playing around with it right now.
Right. And it is one of the fastest changing program with updates and stuff. In fact, in one of my sessions I was in, they said that you need to shut it down like every 2 days. Otherwise, you won't get the latest and greatest updates because it's still working off whatever day you signed in. If you
Oh.
leave it on for 10 days, you've missed 8 days of improvements that
Oh,
AI and chat's
interesting.
making. So, yeah, it's
Interesting,
definitely
interesting. Well, and talk more about that because you are not like the rest of us who are just kinda, like, dabbling. You're, again, investing in your education and going above and beyond. You're taking courses in this.
I am taking courses. I am working on becoming a certified AI counselor. And I just feel like when I talk with people, n- some people aren't using it at all.
Yeah,
And I get frustrated. And I'm like, why aren't you using this tool that can help you save time?
yeah.
And, just time on everything from doing small repetitive tasks to doing stuff data wise. I feel like my books right now this year are better than they've ever been because I've been pulling every receipt into my chat and it's
Yeah.
analyzing it. Whereas my accountant probably was like, "Oh, here comes Lenore," because I had it in 17 hats. I have stopped using QuickBooks because I was using 17 hats and detailing it all out, and now it's taken a one additional step.
Yeah.
So, it's been a very interesting, and again, I'm a one-person shop, so I'm not having to do payroll and all these extra things that you really do need QuickBooks for. So,
Yeah.
everybody that has an employee really should have QuickBooks or a better program. Meanwhile, for me, it's me.
But I think that's gonna change too. My sister works for a CPA firm, and she said they were, like, dabbling with AI, and there was something that, like, typically takes the head guy, like, 14 hours to do, like, per client, and they put it in AI, and it was done in, like, 30 seconds, and she was like, "Oh god, I need to look for a different job." Like, it's just I think with finances and bookkeeping and all of that, like, it's just gonna speed everything up. Um,
Right.
but you obviously I really like your approach because you're not like a crazy tech person who's like, "Here's how to
I am
optimize
not
every
techie at all.
single." Yeah, I think you're a real person who's helping real people improve their lives in measurable ways, not like, "Oh, you need to wear, like, virtual reality goggles everywhere and be like a crazy weirdo." I like that you have, like, a very, normal approach to this. And where can people find you, and how can they work with you?
So I'm starting a new program where I'm going to be teaching introductory AI and I'm focusing on photo booth and balloon operators because
Mm,
that's what I know and I don't want to get into an area where I just can't answer the question. So I'm
right.
really focusing on that. I'm actually launching my first class on July 12th. And so it's kind of exciting, but you can find me at on Facebook at Elevate Your Skills and also on Instagram at Elevate Your Skills. And
Okay.
both of those I'm going to be continuing to put tips. I'll be alerting different questions and stuff. There will be a group session where there'll be like a monthly call. I'm not going into full coaching, but there will be a class once a month that would be live and then there'll be additional classes that come in. But the big thing will be the quick daily tips and the tips of what changed from 3 days ago. And that's
Yeah.
where it will keep people very active and at least up to speed.
Yeah. Well, I love it, and thank you so much for sharing with us. I can't
Yeah.
wait to implement some of this. I gotta stop making excuses. I just always say my chat GPT's dumb, but I think we know who the real dummy is in that situation. I just need to figure out how to get in there and get it to, like, do things for me. Mine's just
Right.
stubborn, just like me, probably because it learned my own personality.
It's
Well,
just keep in mind, it's only as good as the prompts. If your
yes.
prompts are par, then you're gonna get subpar work from
Well, I love this. Congratulations on your new
it.
venture, and you're not going anywhere though, right? You're staying in balloons and photo booths?
I'm I'm definitely staying in balloons and photo booth. I spent more balloons than anything, and I love doing the creative side of that.
Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us, and it was great to catch up.
Thanks. See you later.